Chicken Soup for the Soul, reading number 5, with 3.5 fulfillment summary intro by me, Johnny Troth. I'm your friend, and I troth myself eternally to your service. Follow me on Facebook, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. They're both under my name, Johnny Troth. And let's improve ourselves and the world, which are the same thing, because we are one love, together. One of my things I like to say is, stay in your flow. Be happy with the no. Do what you like. Go. Let's break it down. Stay in your flow. I think his name is pronounced Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the master of flow. He wrote a book called Flow. I made this little poem from what I read in that book. My poem is called Flow. It goes like this. When leisure time gives you thrills, stimulating your brain, and you get up and go. When the challenge meets the skills and it's fun like a game, you're in your flow. Not afraid, getting paid, doing you, do today, cage blame, play those tools, play life's game. Getting fulfillment when you unwind, improving your skills and using your mind. You better humankind. Building on what you know. Helping many people go, time after time, to stay in your flow. That says a lot. You might want to back it up and listen to it again. Maybe listen to it twice again. It's pretty good. I do say so myself. Be happy with the no, spelled N-O. This gets into quantum physics type stuff. Why do you think you want to be happy with the no? Because you want to keep focusing on what you want. You want to keep focusing on making progress, learning, growing. There's no such thing as failure. It's all information. If you're into self-development, then there's a good chance that you know that Thomas Edison and his crew failed 10,000 times before they were successful in inventing the light bulb. And he never looked at it as failing 10,000 times. He looked at it as finding 10,000 ways that didn't work. Do what you like. Go. This is the most important part of flow. You have to like it. When the challenge meets the skills, you like it more because you can do it. And challenge into growth is what gives us the second best feeling on earth. The first best feelings on earth come from contribution. The only way you'll have the diligence that you have to be successful is to like what you're doing. If you like it, you could be doing it for 16 hours a day, and it's not really work to you because you enjoy it. It's like play. That's when you're in your flow. And when the challenge meets the skills, you're in your flow, and you're improving, you're growing, you're happy. The way I see it, there's 3 main reasons we're here on earth. Reason number 1 is to grow and contribute. Reason number 2 is to expand love. And reason number 3 is to enjoy life. Chicken Soup for the Soul, reading number 5. It's time to rise. It's time to rise. 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 Now on. Remove the from. Now on. Now. on. Rise. Now on. Rise. Live united. Live united. Reach your summit. Do what you're here to do. Reach your summit. Rise. Now on. Now on. Remove the from. Before I get to this reading, I want to tell you another way to stay in your flow. Don't care too much. Never force anything. Force is the opposite of flow. Every time you use force, you're blocking what you want. Don't care too much. Let people be who they are. Let them do what they want to do. Let them be who they are. Let them do what they want to do. Don't care too much. And know that there's only one person who can help you. Who's at the center of every problem and every opportunity you've ever had? You. The answer, my friends, is you. You're at the center of every problem and every opportunity you've ever had. You. Then who's the only person who can ever help you? The only person who can ever help you is you. I can't help you fix yourself, but at least I can say I tried. You get to move on with your own life. I can't help you fix yourself, but at least I can say I tried. It's time to move on to your own life. I tear my heart open, close myself shut. My weakness is that I care too much, as scars remind us that the past is real. I tear my heart open just to feel. No, no. Stay in your flow. Stay in your flow. Be happy with the no. Do what you like. Go. Be happy with the no can also be spelled K-N-O-W. Because when you're listening to and doing what's in your mind, your heart, your gut, and your soul, you know. You more than believe. You trust and you know that this is your burning desire. This is your major definite purpose. This is your big why. And that helps you stay in your flow. because you're doing what you like. Go. And go fix yourself, says the amazing Papa Roach. I can't help you fix yourself, but at least I can say I tried. Go ahead and move on with your own life. I can't help you fix yourself, but at least I can say I tried. It's time to move on to your own life. And now I'm moving on, back to the book. Chicken Soup for the Soul. The Golden Buddha. This story begins with a quote from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I don't know if I spelled it right, or pronounced it right. I don't know if I pronounced it right. It's spelled Antoine. I went with Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Here's the quote. And now, here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly what is essentially is invisible to the eye. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. However you pronounce Antoine. In the fall of 1988, my wife... Well, let me read that again. Let me read it again. That sounds pretty good. Let me read this one more time. And now here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly what is essentially is invisible to the eye. Feel. The feeling is the secret, Neville Goddard. It's all in your heart. Your heart has 50,000 times the magnetic pull. Your heart has up to 50,000 times the magnetic pull of your brain. Greg Braden. It's a quote by Greg Braden. The Feeling is the Secret is a great book by Neville Goddard. Back to the book. In the fall of 1988, my wife Georgia and I were invited to give a presentation on self-esteem and peak performance at a conference in Hong Kong. Since we had never been to the Far East before, we decided to extend our trip and visit Thailand. Ooh, I want to go to Thailand. I want to go visit Thailand. I want to spend like a year in Thailand. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. When I get rich, I'm going to spend a year in Thailand. Back to the book. When we arrived in Bangkok, we decided to take a tour of the city's most famous Buddhist temples. Along with our interpreter and driver, Georgia and I visited numerous Buddhist temples that day. After a while, they all began to blur in our memories. However, there was one temple that left an indelible impression on our hearts and minds. It's called the Temple of the Golden Buddha. The temple itself is very small, probably no larger than 30 feet by 30 feet. As we entered, we were stunned by the presence of a 10.5-foot tall, solid gold Buddha. It weighs over 2.5 tons and is valued at approximately $196 million. It was quite an awesome sight. The kindly, gentle, yet imposing solid gold Buddha smiling down on us. As we immersed ourselves in the normal sightseeing tasks, taking pictures while oohing and eyeing over the statue, I walked over to a glass case that contained a large piece of clay about 8 inches thick and 12 inches wide. Next to the glass case was a typewritten page describing the history of this magnificent piece of art. Back in 1957, a group of monks from a monastery, I think I read this story. I think someone they were worried that someone was going to steal it, so they covered it in clay. If this is the same one. Let's see if I'm right. Back in 1957, a group of monks from a monastery had to relocate a clay Buddha from their temple to a new location. The monastery was to be relocated to make room for the development of a highway through Bangkok. When the crane began to lift the giant idol, the weight of it was so tremendous that it began to crack. What's more, rain began to fall. The head monk, who was concerned about damage to the sacred Buddha, decided to lower the statue back to the ground and cover it with a large canvas tarp to protect it from the rain. Later that evening, the head monk went to check on the Buddha. He shined his flashlight under the tarp to see if the Buddha was staying dry. As the light reached the crack, he noticed a little gleam shining back and thought it strange. As he took a closer look at this gleam of light, he wondered if there might be something underneath the clay. He went to fetch a chisel and hammer from the monastery and began to chip away at the clay. He began to chip away at the clay. As he knocked off shards of clay, the little gleam grew brighter and bigger. Many hours of labor went by before the monk stood face to face with the extraordinary solid gold Buddha. How did they move it back then if it weighed 2.5 tons? Historians believe that several hundred years before the head monk's discovery, the Burmese army was about to invade Thailand, then called Siam. The Siamese monks, realizing that their country would soon be attacked, covered their precious golden Buddha with an outer covering of clay in order to keep their treasure from being looted by the Burmese. Unfortunately, it appears that the Burmese slaughtered all the Siamese monks, and the well-kept secret of the golden Buddha remained intact until that fateful day in 1957. As we flew home on Cathay Pacific Airlines, I began to think to myself, we are all like the clay Buddha, covered with a shell of hardness, created out of fear, and yet underneath each of us is a, quote, golden Buddha, a, quote, golden Christ, or a, quote, golden essence, which is our real self. Somewhere along the way, between the ages of 2 and 9, we begin to cover up our, quote, golden essence, our natural self, much like the monk with the hammer and the chisel. Our task now is to discover our true essence once again, end quote, Jack Canfield. Okay, so he says between 2 and 9 is when we, talking about the book, is when we figure out, is when we get programmed into who we are. Between the ages of 2 and 9 is what Jack Canfield says. I've read from 2 to 3 to 7 or 8, and then somebody else said from about 2 to 8. So I've just been saying by the time we're 8, but I guess I'm going to move it up to 9 now, because Jack Canfield says from 2 to 9 is when we get programmed into who we are from our environment, meaning mostly the people around us. Next story. Start with yourself. The following words were written on the tomb of the Anglican bishop in the crypts of Westminster Abbey. Anglican, I think is how you pronounce that. Yeah. The following words were written on the tomb of the Anglican bishop in the crypts of Westminster Abbey. Insert. When I was young and free, and my imagination had no limits, I dreamed of changing the world. As I grew older and wiser, I discovered the world would not change, so I shortened my sights somewhat and decided to change only my country. But it, too, seemed immovable. As I grew into my twilight years, in one last desperate attempt, I settled for changing only my family, those closest to me. But alas, they would have none of it. But at least I could say I tried. I can't help you fix yourself, but at least I can say I tried. Let them move on with their own lives. And now, as I lie on my deathbed, I suddenly realize, italicized, if I had only changed myself first, then by example I would have changed my family. Go fix yourself! From their inspiration and encouragement, I would then have been able to better my country, and who knows, I may have even changed the world. Anything is possible, Anonymous. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. The first person who I ever heard that from, anything is possible, talking off the book here, is my brother. Jay Reitzes is the first person who I ever heard say the words, anything is possible. And I remember that conversation. I remember saying that, oh, so people could just take off and fly. And Jay said, anything's possible. I was like, oh yeah, I guess you could put on a jetpack, or you could do it in a dream, whatever. Anything is possible. I don't even think they had really jetpacks back then. I don't know if I said that. This was a long time ago. This is like a 30-year-old memory, or a 40 or 35-year-old memory, when my brother told me that anything is possible. And now he has a very successful, he's a CPA, certified public accountant. He has a very successful business. He has hundreds of clients all over the country, all over America. If you want to get a great CPA, then contact Jay. Jay Reitzes. ReitzesConsulting.com. R-E-I-T-Z as in zebra. R-E as in excellent. I-T as in terrific. Let me start that over again. Reitzes Consulting, I think is his website. ReitzesConsulting.com. R-E like in excellent. I-T like in terrific. Z like in zebra. E like in excellent. S like in super. Reitzes Consulting. I think, let me see if it's his website right now. Sorry, Jay, I don't know about this your website. He never looks at my stuff. Your family are the last people to follow you. Why is that? R-E-I-T-C-E-S CONSULTING.com. Go. No, I'm in Facebook right now. Okay. Sorry, people. I opened Facebook. Oh, okay. Search. R Reitzes. Righteous Consulting. Righteous Consulting. Righteous Consulting. Righteous Consulting provides complete financial. Righteous Consulting. Wow. Okay, next story. Nothing but the truth. David Cass Stevens of the Dallas Morning News tells a story about Frank Szymanski. Frank Szymanski, a Notre Dame center in the 1940s, who had been called as a witness in a civil suit at South Bend. The judge asked, "Are you on the Notre Dame football team this year?" "Yes, Your Honor." "What position?" "Center, Your Honor." "How good a center?" Szymanski squirmed in his seat, but said firmly, "Sir, I'm the best center Notre Dame has ever had." Coach Frank Leahy, who was in the courtroom, was surprised. Szymanski always had been modest and unassuming. So when the proceedings were over, he took Szymanski aside and asked why he had made such a statement. Szymanski blushed. He said, "I hated to do it. After all, I was under oath." Okay. Next story, covering all the bases. A little boy was overheard talking to himself as he strode through his backyard, baseball cap in place, and toting ball and bat. Quote, okay, he said proudly, "I'm the greatest baseball player in the world," he said proudly. Then he tossed the ball in the air, swung and missed, undaunted. He picked up the ball, threw it into the air, and said to himself, quote, "I'm the greatest player ever." He swung at the ball again, and again he missed. He paused a moment to examine bat and ball carefully. Then, once again, he threw the ball into the air and said, quote, "I'm the greatest baseball player who ever lived." He swung the bat hard and again missed the ball. "Wow," he exclaimed, "what a pitcher." A pitcher, not a belly itcher. Source unknown. "What a pitcher! I'm such a good pitcher." Wow. You know, I think I realized something as I was reading that. I'll bet you I know what happened. I'll bet you I know why my brother Jay and I are basically opposite in everything except our eye colors. Our eye color is the only thing we have in common, pretty much. And I think it's because when Jay was developing, somewhere between the ages of 2 and 9, somebody who he admired said to him, "Anything is possible, Jay." And he believed it. I didn't have that benefit. And everything happens for a reason. Back to the book. This is italicized at the bottom of this story, covering all the bases. A small child was drawing a picture, and his teacher said, "That's an interesting picture. Tell me about it." "It's a picture of God." "But nobody knows what God looks like." "They will when I get done." Next story, my declaration of self-esteem. Here's a quote by Carl Rogers. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. That's so good. I'm going to do that trick where you emphasize every word and it means something different. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough. What I am, let's do it, let's do every word. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly. And your inner world controls your outer world. You can only rise to the opinion of yourself. So know that you are good enough. Know that you are good enough to have, do, and be anything you want. Anything you want. Anything you want. Anything? Anything. We're going to get for $5. That's an old two. I'm not even going to say the name of the band. All right. The following was written in answer to this title of the story is My Declaration of Self-Esteem. My Declaration of Self-Esteem. The following was written in answer to a 15-year-old girl's question. Quote, how can I prepare myself for a fulfilling life? I am me. In all the world, there is no one else exactly like me. There are people who have some parts like me. And no one adds up exactly to me. Therefore, everything that comes out of me is authentically mine because I alone choose it. I own everything about me. My body, including everything it does. My mind, including all my thoughts and ideas. My eyes, including the images of all they behold. My feelings, whatever they might be, anger, joy, frustration, love, disappointment, excitement. My mouth and all the words that come out of it, polite, sweet, and rough, correct or incorrect. My voice, loud and soft. My actions, all my actions, whether they be to others or myself. I own my fantasies, my dreams, my hopes, my fears. I own all my triumphs and successes, all my failures and mistakes, because I own all of me. I can become intimately acquainted with me. By so doing, I can love me and be friendly with me in all my parts. I can then make it possible for all of me to work in my best interests. I know there are aspects about myself that puzzle me and other aspects that I do not know. As long as I am friendly and loving to myself, I can courageously and hopefully look for the solutions to the puzzles and for ways to find out more about me. However I look and sound, whatever I say and do, and whatever I think and feel at a given moment in time is me. This is authentic and represents where I am at that moment in time. one moment in time, racing with destiny. Then in that one moment of time, I will be free. There's an answer in this lifetime if you seize that one moment in time in your mind. In moments of quiet repose, when you get silent and look within and ask for guidance. And then just do it, just do it, just do it. Just do it, just do it, just do it. I will be free. Oh. I wasn't naturally gifted as a singer. I know this, okay? I'm here for other things. My talent lies elsewhere. Back to the book. I know there are aspects about myself that puzzle me, and other aspects that I do not know. As long as I am friendly and loving to myself, I can courageously and hopefully look for the solutions to the puzzles and for ways to find out more about me. However I look and sound, whatever I say and do, and whatever I think and feel at a given moment in time is me. This is authentic and represents where I am at that moment in time. When I review later how I looked and sounded, what I said and did, and how I thought and felt, some parts may turn out to be unfitting. I can discard that which is unfitting and keep that which proved fitting, and invent something new for that which I discarded. I can see, hear, feel, think, say, and do. I have the tools to survive, to be close to others, to be productive, to make sense and order out of the world of people and things outside of me. I own me, and therefore I can engineer me. I am me, and I am okay, said Virginia Satir, S-A-T-I-R. Next story, The Bag Lady. She used to sleep in the 5th Street post office. I could smell her before I rounded the entrance to where she slept, standing up by the public phones. I smelled the urine that seeped through the layers of her dirty clothing and the decay from her nearly toothless mouth. If she was not asleep, she mumbled incoherently. Now they close the post office at 6 to keep the homeless out. So she curls up on the sidewalk, talking to herself, her mouth flapping open, as though unhinged. Her smells diminished by the soft breeze. One Thanksgiving, we had so much food left over, I packed it up, excused myself from the others, and drove over to 5th Street. It was a frigid night. Leaves were swirling around the streets, and hardly anyone was out. All but a few of the luckless in some warm home or shelter. I knew I would find her. She was dressed as she always was, even in summer, the warm, woolly layers concealing her old, bent body. Her bony hands clutched the precious shopping cart. She was squatting against a fire fence in front of the playground next to the post office. Quote, why didn't she come? Okay, quote, it just begins with a quote, and I don't know who's talking, so I'm just going to go, quote, why didn't she choose someplace more protected from the wind? I thought, there it is. Why don't you put it like this? I thought, why didn't she choose someplace more protected from the wind? And assured and assumed she was so crazy, she did not have the sense to huddle in a doorway. I pulled my shiny car to the curb, rolled down the window and said, Mother, would you... and was shocked at the word, quote, mother. But she is, in some way I cannot grasp. I said again, Mother, I've brought you some food. Would you like some turkey and stuffing and apple pie? At this, the old woman looked at me and said quite clearly and distinctly, her two loose lower teeth wobbling as she spoke, oh, thank you very much, but I'm quite full now. Why don't you take it to someone who really needs it? Her words were clear, her manners gracious. Then I was dismissed. Her head sank into her rags again. Bobby Probstein. When there's a siren while I'm reading, I pause my recording and think compassion because somebody's being helped. And feel compassion for whoever's being helped. Whether it's a fire, an ambulance, or a cop. Thank you. Thank you for helping us. The next story is titled Response/Ability. Response/Ability. Are you response able? Are you able to respond? There's two columns, left column and right column. Left column. The game we play is let's pretend and pretend we're not pretending. Response. I guess that's the response. Ability. Right on the right column. So that's how, I think it goes like this. Response is on the left column. Ability is on the right column. So instead of left column, I'm going to say response. Instead of right column, I'm going to say ability. Response. The game we play is let's pretend and pretend we're not pretending. Ability. The capital I, in all capital letters, every letter, capital I am. The I am. Consciousness, that powerful, loving, perfect reflection of the cosmos. I'm going to talk on this now. I am. Period. Feel that. I am. Full stop. Feel that. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and feel that for a moment. I am. Full stop. I am. Full stop. I am. Full stop. Isn't that reassuring? Doesn't that make you feel stressless? I am full stop. I don't want to stress less. I want to be stressless. I was born who I'm here to be. I am full stop. Response. Back to the book. Response. We choose to forget who we are and then forget that we've forgotten ability. But in our attempt to cope with early situations, we chose. But in our attempt to cope, ability. In our attempt to cope with early situations, we chose or were hypnotized into a passive position. Response. Who are we really? Okay. This isn't working the way I thought it did. So I'm gonna do it like this. This is all the response. I'm gonna read all the response first, and then I'm gonna read the ability after that. This is all the responses. These are all the responses. The game we play is let's pretend, and pretend we're not pretending. We choose to forget who we are, and then forget that we've forgotten. Who are we really? The center that watches and runs the show, that can choose which way it will go. Things just happened, or that we were being controlled, taken over. We put ourselves down and have become used to this masochistic posture, this weakness, this indecisiveness. Ability. The, in all capital letters, I am. Consciousness. That powerful, loving, perfect reflection of the cosmos. In our attempt to cope with early situations, we chose or were hypnotized into a passive position. To avoid punishment or the loss of love, we chose to deny our response/ability. Pretending our ability to respond. Pretending that to avoid punishment or the loss of love, we chose to deny our response/ability. Pretending that. But we are, in reality, free, a center of cosmic energy. Your will is your power. Don't pretend you don't have it, or you won't. This is by Bernard Gunther. Next story is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 10 bold-faced statements, and then after the bold-faced statement is a description of each of the 10 bold-faced statements. It's called The Rules for Being Human. 1. You will receive a body. I'm going to read the bold-faced parts twice. You will receive a body. You may like it or hate it, but it will be yours for the entire period of this time around. 2. You will learn lessons. You will learn lessons. You are enrolled in a full-time informal school called Life with a capital L. Each day in this school, you will have the opportunity to learn lessons. You may like the lessons or think them irrelevant and stupid. I want to comment on that real quick. This is going to be a real fast one. My main mentor right now, Peter Sage, says now Earth School. He originally, the first time I heard it, Peter Sage said Life School, like it says here, Life School. And then he changed it to Earth School. So now I say Earth School, also called life. 3, there are no mistakes, only lessons. There are no mistakes, only lessons. Growth is a process of trial and error. Experimentation, the quote failed experiments that are the quote failed experiments are as much a part of the process as the experiment that ultimately quote works. Light bulb, bing, went off in my head. 4, a lesson is repeated until learned. A lesson is repeated until learned. A lesson will be presented to you. 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 In various forms until you have learned it. When you have learned it, you can then go on to the next lesson. 5, learning lessons does not end. Learning lessons does not end. There is no part of life that does not contain its lessons. If you are alive, there are lessons to be learned. 6, quote, there. Now, I like to say on that being human means we're never going to be perfect, which means we always have something to look forward to. Isn't that great? Yeah. That's great. I can talk more on that, but I'm going to move on. Okay, I'll talk more on that for a little bit. What comes after the night? The day. What comes after the winter? The spring. That's right. Your life is exactly like nature. Your life is just like nature. It goes through cycles. It ebbs and flows. So when you're in the down cycle, as soon as you realize that it's coming back up, guess what happens? It comes back up. Plant your seeds in the winter so you're the first one to grow. Back to the book. Five, learning lessons does not end. Learning lessons does not end. There is no part of life that does not contain its lessons. If you are alive, there are lessons to be learned. Six, quote, there is no better than, quote, here. When your, quote, there has become a, quote, here, you will simply obtain another, quote, there. That will again look better than, quote, here. On that, I want to say, the grass is always greener on the other side? No. The grass is always greener on the inside. Because your inner world determines your outer world. You can only rise to the opinion of yourself. 7, others are merely mirrors of you. Others are merely mirrors of you. Merely mirrors. Merely mirrors. Be the mirror. I'm going to read this first. Others are merely mirrors of you. You cannot love or hate something about another person unless it reflects something you love or hate about yourself. Now I'm going to say on that, so be the mirror. Be the mirror. Be the example and the invitation. Gandhi said, be what you want the world to be, something like that. Be the person you want the world to be. Be the change you want to see in the world. That's what Gandhi said. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the mirror. Because others are merely mirrors of you. 8. Back to the book. 8. What you make of your life is up to you. What you make of your life is up to you. You have all the tools and resources you need. What you do with them is up to you. The choice is yours. So let's fly. Let's choose to fly like an eagle and soar. Let's soar. Let's choose to fly. Let's choose to soar, knowing that anything is possible. Because what you make of your life is up to you. And you have all the tools and resources you need. What you do with them is up to you. The choice is yours. 9. Your answers lie inside you. Your answers lie inside you. The answers to, capitalize, life's questions lie inside you. All you need to do is look, listen, and trust. 10. You will forget all this. That's all it says. I don't need to read it twice because that's all that there is there. 10. You will forget all this. Okay, I read it twice anyway. That's by Sherry Carter Scott. Part 3 of the book is on parenting. Begins with a quote by George Bernard Shaw. Perhaps the greatest social service that can be rendered by anybody to the country and to humankind is to bring up a family. I love George Bernard Shaw, and I changed mankind to humankind. And I love George Bernard Shaw. I love George Bernard Shaw. Perhaps the greatest social service that can be rendered by anybody is to the country. Perhaps the greatest social service that can be rendered by anybody to the country and to humankind is to bring up a family. George Bernard Shaw. Children learn what they live is where I'll begin the next reading on page 85. I can't help you fix yourself.
One of my things I like to say,
At least I can say I tried.
stay in your flow. Be happy with the no. Do what you like. Go. Let's break it down. Stay in your flow. I think his name is pronounced Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the master of flow. He wrote a book called Flow. I made this little poem from what I read in that book. My poem is called Flow. It goes like this. When leisure time gives you thrills, stimulating your brain, and you get up and go. When the challenge
Meets the skills. It's fun like a game. You're in your flow. Not afraid getting paid, doing you do today. Cage blank, play those tools, play life's game. Getting fulfillment when you unwind, improving your skills and using your mind. You better humankind, building on what you know, helping many people go, time after time, to stay in your flow.
That says a lot. You might want to back it up and
Time
do it again.
to rise. Just do it.
Maybe
Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
again.
Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Time to
At least
rise.
say so myself.
Peace machine.
Be happy
Love
with the
machine.
no,
Love.
spelled N-O.
Love
This gets into
machine.
quantum physics type stuff. Why do you think you want to be happy with the no? because you want to keep focusing on what you want. You want to keep focusing on making progress, learning, growing. There's no such thing as failure. It's all information.
It's all information.
If you're into self-development, then there's a good chance that you know that Thomas Edison and his crew failed 10,000 times before they were successful in inventing the light bulb. And he never looked at it as failing 10,000 times. He looked at it as finding 10,000 ways that didn't work.
Screenshot.
Do what you like.
Go.
This is the most important part of flow. You have to like it.
You have to like it.
When the challenge
Meets the skills.
you like it more.
It's
because
fun
you
like
can
a
do it.
game.
And
Yeah.
challenge into growth is what gives us the second best feeling on earth.
Screenshot.
The first best feeling on earth.
Comes
The first
from
best feelings on
growth
earth
and
come from
contribution. The second best feelings on
You
earth.
have the diligence that you have to be successful is to like what you're doing. If you like it, you could be doing it for 16 hours a day, and it's not really work to you because you enjoy it. It's like play.
Yeah.
That's when you're in your flow.
Yep.
And when the challenge meets the skills, you're in your flow and you're improving, you're growing, you're happy. The way I see it, there's three main reasons we're here on earth. Reason number one is to grow and contribute. Reason number two is to
Expand love. Reason number three is to enjoy life.
Chicken Soup for the Soul. Reading number 5. It's time to rise. It's time to rise.